These and all other managerial accounting problems can be found in Sarai's studies. The link is in the description box below. Alright, let's start with I for idle time, O for overtime, R for regular time. We care about the hours that we're working, the rate that we're being paid at, and then the total. Last week, Alex spent 48 hours working at Gearcraft Industries. Out of these hours, 5 were designated as extra hours due to increased workload. So he worked extra hours, that's called overtime. So 5 hours were overtime. And Alex was also unoccupied for 4 hours because of a technical issue with the equipment. Unoccupied is just a fancy way of saying idle time. So 4 hours of idle time where Alex was idle, right? But that's still considered working. Alex earns $50 per hour regularly. So our regular rate, our straight time rate is $50 and receives $75 per hour time and a half for the additional hours for overtime. So the overtime is not $75. That's not your overtime rate. $75 is the time, actually it's the rate of your regular time, which in this case it's 50, and half of that, which is 25. So when you add 50 time and a half of that is 25, you get 75. That's how much you're getting paid. But what we really care about is the actual overtime rate, the actual amount that you're getting paid in excess of what you're getting paid for your regular hours, which is 25. So this number here is 25. It's always the half. If they tell you it's time and a half. In example 1, they just told us, well, it's blurry, you can't see it. Okay, whatever. But in example 1, they told us it was $45. They didn't tell us it was time and a half. So what you do is you say your regular time and then whatever the rest of it is, how much you were paid in excess. Now remember, this number is always the same as this number. So this is 50 as well. And then finally, fill in the blanks. So regular time is the same thing as straight time, but they don't mention straight time in this problem. It's also the same thing as active work time, but they don't mention that. So you have to use the equation total time minus idle time. So idle time is 4. And then total time, don't get it confused. Total time is active time that you work plus idle time that you work. So really, it's the total time that you get paid, right? Because they're not telling us how many hours we're actively working. So the total time that we get paid, 48 hours working, we're going to get paid those 48 hours. And so really this is just 48. And then 48 minus 4 is 44. So your regular hours is 44 hours. So 4 times 50, that's 200. 25 times 5, that's 125. And then 44 times 50, that is 2,200. Now they're asking, what does Alex check for that week? So that's just adding up all of these total. That is 2,525. And they're asking how much of that was indirect labor. So remember, indirect labor is these two at the top. 200 plus 125, that is 325. That's your indirect labor. And they didn't ask us for direct labor, but this would be direct labor, right? So your answer here would be Alex total's earnings for that week is the total amount that he got paid, 2,525. And then how much was indirect labor is 325. So your answer here would be A.